So let's do it. Good morning, Edward.
Good morning, Armand.
Thank you for giving me some of your time, and I would really appreciate you can share your experience as a retiree and expat living in San Pedro La Laguna. So my first question will be, how did you end up in San Pedro La Laguna and why?
Well, I ended up in San Pedro La Laguna because originally I came here to learn Spanish. I was living in New Mexico and I was an emergency room nurse. And so a third of the patients don't speak English. So I thought I need to learn Spanish. So I first went to Mexico. The second year I came here. And I was in Nabac first in the Cuchamanes Mountains, but it was very cold. So I came down here to San Pedro and fell in love with this. This is 13 years ago. And I decided, since I had always wanted to be an expat, and I decided this would be the perfect place to be. So I went back, sold my house, and came here 13 years ago and built this house that I am showing for sale.
Okay. So you've been living here 13 years.
Right.
How it has been? Why you would say people should consider Lake Atitlan Guatemala to relocate or retire?
Well, first of all, where I live is one of the most beautiful lakes in the world, surrounded by mountains. My house is at the foot of a volcano. If you like to exercise, the volcano is full of trails to walk every day. The other thing I love about here is throughout Guatemala, I have visited dozens and not visited all Mayan ruins, and it's just fascinating what's available all throughout Guatemala if you just take the time to go visit. So those two things, but San Pedro in particular is so tranquil. The people always say, Eduardo, es muy tranquilo aquí, no? And that is the truth. It is. People are so polite here. At times, difficult to communicate because they don't like to say no, but that's just the culture. But it also is such a lovely culture that people never show anger, and they are simply the most pacific. It's just a wonderful place for me in my retirement to live.
So what you would recommend for any candidate to retire, consider relocate in Lake Atitlan, Guatemala? Do you have any advice?
No, other than, when I was in my earlier years here, I was still in my late 50s, early 60s, I used to take the camionetas into the city. I now don't. I do a private van, but it's like less than $100 to do a trip to the city, round trip. So for that, if you Guatemala City is where you go just to do your shopping because it's not a pretty city, but then you come back to San Pedro. And in terms of medical care, 2 hours away in Xela, there's also in Guatemala City, Centro Medico. And it is the best hospital system in Guatemala, and the United States Embassy uses it for all their employees. So it's west to Xela, about a 2-hour drive, and you can always just, in San Pedro, there's many people that want to do their little private van to earn money, so a call in the nighttime, and you'll be in 2 hours at Centro Medico in Xela, where the doctors are of a higher quality.
How do you qualify the quality of life and cost of living? Is it affordable country? What's your
Well, it's a lot cheaper. I mean, you go to the market and, you don't necessarily pay much less than you in the United States for your fruits and vegetables. And if you buy your meat in the market or fish, it also is much less expensive. I happen to buy mine from a American / Guatemalan who has a butcher shop where he has frozen fish and all that. So that is cheaper than you pay in the United States, but it's a little bit more. But I buy salmon, all sorts of fish, frozen, and it's just, it's cheap here. When you look at the taxes I pay every year on my house, in the United States, I don't know what I would pay on this house, but it would be a few $1,000s a year. Here I pay $1,200 Q, which is about $150. So it is a lot cheaper to live. That's not why I live here, but it is a lot cheaper to live here than it would be in the United States.
What would be, say, an average budget you would say for a person like single like you? If if you would have to rent and live, you need like $1,000, $1,500 a month, less than $1,000.
To live here?
Yeah.
Oh, if you were
comfortable.
In a what?
Comfortably.
To live here comfortably, and we're not talking about if you need, medical care or something, that would be aside. But just in terms of rent and food, and I don't know, I don't pay attention because I don't need to. But there are a lot of people that live here on a low budget. They don't spend much money. I mean, when you just think that your main expense here is food. I mean, even my electricity is only 200 Qs, so $25 a month. Okay, and then you'll see the water bill, and that's only because we're doing our own water. We don't have Mooney water yet, but ours is more reliable. So it just adds up. And the food is cheap. There's just not much in the way of expenses, unless, like I say, you want to be going to Guatemala City to buy. But again, that's $80 round trip for a whole day. It just doesn't cost much.
Anything you miss from the States?
No, given that who our president is right. No, I'm sorry. It's just unbelievable, what's going on in the United States right now. So no, here in Guatemala has its problems too. But this town...
You feel safe?
It's safe because it's like in a cul-de-sac. It's not quite that way, but it takes, to come down from the Inter-American Highway, now that the road is totally fixed and nice, it's still a 45-minute drive to get to the town. So that we're not in the middle of traffic, which always increases security things. So we're just in this little isolated, sort of wonderful little place that is very safe. I'm not saying there's never any crime in San Pedro, because there is, and there's people that rob because there's a lot of poverty, so that happens. But my house has faux cameras, okay, with little blinking lights, and that's all the locals need to see to not bother your house, because they know that they would be caught.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.